Today on Time About the Movies, we wrap up the first month of the summer 2010 season, and we're not ending it on the best note possible. We've got another sequel for a 2008 blockbuster, but unlike Iron Man 2, where there was at least some quality to it, Sex and the City 2 is not like that. We'll take a look at that. Plus, we'll take a look at Disney's attempt to create another Pirates of the Caribbean style franchise and also try to create a successful video game movie franchise. And let's just say that they're not quite successful with Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. But does that make it a bad movie? Only one way to find out. May 28th, 2010. This is Time About the Movies. Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of Time About the Movies. And today we're taking a look at the two films released on May 28th, 2010. And I want to make a correction before we move forward. I said last week, May the 21st, was Memorial Day weekend, and I was wrong on that. This is Memorial Day weekend. I thought it was the second to last Monday of the year. Turns out that was not the case whatsoever. And last week would have been. No, that's right, because Monday, May 31st of this year would have been Memorial Day. So yeah, I was wrong. Either way you look at it, I was wrong on the date of this particular weekend in 2010. Memorial Day weekend is this weekend, but yeah, we've got two movies here. Let's go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off here, but man, let's just go ahead and get to Sex and the City 2, which, oh god. And look, I know that I was very critical of the first Sex and the City movie, and I know there were some people in the comments section who said that they still enjoyed the movie, even though they did kind of agree with me that, yeah, it's a complete inferior product compared to the television series, which, like I said before, it's pretty much the movies are basically the complete opposite of what the TV show and what made it so special. But then again, the people who made the TV show aren't really involved with this. The creator, Darren Star, is not involved in any of these movies, so it makes sense. It makes sense why these movies feel completely different. But to the first movie's credit, there are people that like it, and hey, like I said, we live in a place where free speech is a great thing. People can say whatever they want to say, and I'm not going to get on anybody's nerves about it. I just personally didn't like the first Sex and the City movie, but let me tell you something. That first Sex and the City movie was like a cinematic classic compared to this, because oh my god, I couldn't believe how worse this thing could get, and yeah, it got worse. 2 years have passed since Carrie Bradshaw finally bagged John, Mr. Big Preston, once again played by Chris Noth, the man she was always meant to be with. Just as her friend Charlotte must deal with her young daughter's terrible twos, Carrie must deal with her relationship taking a turn for the worse. Big likes to watch old black and white movies on TV and eat takeout food. Sounds like a good husband to me, but not for Carrie. No. It prevents Carrie from feeling like the free-willing party girl she used to be. She's in her 40s by this point. I mean, I think it's time to start settling down here, but continuing on. Meanwhile, Miranda copes with a new boss that can't handle an intelligent, powerful woman, and Samantha works a public relations angle that gets the fashionable foursome an all-expenses-paid trip to Abu Dhabi. Because you know what you should do when your show that has one of the characters is the city of New York? You know what you do in a movie version? Take the characters out of the reason why the show was so successful. One of the reasons why the show was successful, and just take them to a complete place that these women should not be at whatsoever. Good fucking god, this movie is a disaster. The first movie looks like Citizen Kane compared to this movie. I mean, everything about this movie just doesn't work. From the bad jokes, I mean, come on. The thing at the end there was just like, oh, just like Aladdin and Jasmine. Yes, but with cocktails, and just the way they're saying it, it's like the people who make this movie are fully aware that they're completely insulting the intelligence of the women who are going to be into this movie, and not only the women but the gay people too. Because man, there's a lot of flamboyant gay people in this movie. Which, to the movie's credit, I'll give them this. There's a big, elaborate, extravagant gay wedding involving Willie Garson's character, and I'm not gonna lie, It's probably the best damn thing about this movie, because it's something that just comes completely out of nowhere, and they are not afraid to just go in and just go completely over the top fantasy element to it. And usually I will be very. It's usually I will talk about how this is around the time when gay people weren't being written very well in movies and TV shows, but this is 2010, and we were getting a whole lot better on writing gay characters, not as these flamboyant, over-the-top characters. But to the movie's credit, I will give them this. They put their all into it, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a fun thing to watch overall. It doesn't make any sense, but hey, you got Liza Minnelli singing Beyonce, and you got all this craziness going on here. Why not just go with it? That was the one moment in this movie where I would say, okay, you got me on that one. I will give you credit on that. And okay, maybe I'm being a little too over it. Maybe I'm being a little too. What's what I'm looking for? Maybe I'm being a little too harsh on this, because there is progression in this movie. I think the two characters in here that have evolved since the last movie, Cynthia Nixon and Kristen Davis, as Charlotte and Miranda, they have families now, and they're dealing with the trials and tribulations of that. And yeah, they're the only two characters in the movie where you have some kind of I'm so flabbergasted I cannot even talk right now. You feel like you have a connection. You can feel the connection with them, because they are characters who have matured. They have families now, and now they're willing to deal with the trials and tribulations. And they were the only two characters in here that I felt like really did improve from the last movie to mature. Carrie and Samantha, on the other hand, are a completely different story. Sarah Jessica Parker in this movie comes off as a real arrogant bitch to Mr. Big. I mean, she has the guy that she's been dying to get from the very beginning, and she is just not happy about it at all. It's just like you never feel like that she is comfortable with what she is in the situation here. And like I said, Sarah Jessica Parker's in her 40s at this point. You got to get to the point where it's just like, it's time to start settling down here, but Missy. And yeah, you got everything you wanted and then some. And here you're going to treat this like it's this is White People Problems the movie. I mean, that's pretty much that. I'm just checking to see here. Yeah, she was like nearing 50 when this movie was being made. So, actually, no, that's a lot. She was born in 65. 65. All right, she was 35. She'd be 45 at this point. Yeah, 45 at this point. Just like you got everything you wanted, and it's just like, nope, I want more than that. And yeah, you hate her by the end of this movie. Like, her, and especially Samantha. Good Lord. Kim Cattrall in this movie, like, her character is just nothing but... she's basically... you know what she is? She's Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct 2. Everything that she says, everything she tries to do in here is like... she wants to get laid right now to anybody who's out there. It's just like every single line is about sex, or just like these lame jokes, and just like... it doesn't help that the movie itself overall is just really, really lazy at it. Now, if this movie had just been just as bad as something like the first movie, I don't think I would have hated it as much as I did with this film. But then this thing throws down the ultimate fuck you by taking them to Abu Dhabi. And when they get to Abu Dhabi, oh dear fucking God, this movie gets worse and worse as it goes along. This is one of the most racist, anti-Muslim propaganda movies I have ever seen in my life. The way they treat Middle Eastern people in this movie is unbearable. Like, this is a disastrous attempt to this is a disastrous move on their part. Like, I don't know what the hell they were thinking when they decided to do this, but man, don't show this movie today, especially considering what's going on in Israel and Iran right now, because yeah, this is the type of movie that could start a world war. That could literally be the thing that starts the war and brings them to America. If they saw this movie, they would be looking at us going like, okay, we need to blow you fuckers up quickly, because yeah, the way they treat Middle Eastern people in this movie is ungodly, horrible. Like, this is unbelievable how lazy this movie is. Like, and the problem with this whole movie is it's insisting on the same thing that we've talked about with other movies like this. It knows that it's throwing anything at the wall and basically saying that we don't care because we know that you women aren't going to give a crap of what's on screen. We could literally show you one of these characters getting their head chopped off, and we could literally put all four of them into a human centipede, but you won't care because you'll be gabbing with your gal pals, drinking Chardonnay and talking about how cute your dresses and shoes are, and then you're not even going to remember this movie was a thing, because yeah, This is one of those movies that I keep talking about that is very much like that. And, like, they add stakes in here that are so goddamn stupid. The worst one of all is at the end where they have to get back to New York, and what's the big risk at stake? Oh, there's bad guys after them, but that's not the big thing. No. No, the thing that's really going to be the catalyst of this climax is if we don't get on this plane in time, we're going to have to fly back in coach. Oh my god. You have to be like everybody else that gets on a fucking airplane. Who cares? Like, seriously, that's this. It's like this movie is the Peter Griffin meme from Family Guy. Oh my god, who the hell cares? Nobody cares about your problems. This is like I said before. It's white people problems. The movie met with. Let's go ahead and just be completely. Let's just go ahead and give them a big middle finger to everybody in the Middle East, because holy mother of God, like this movie. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable how bad this is. And listen, I will give the first movie its credit. I hated it, but I can see why the fans of the show would still be behind it no matter what. I mean, yeah, it's a bad movie, but the people who are going to see it, who are fans of the show, will enjoy it. This movie, even the fans of the show hated this. Like, this is a movie that is a complete... This is the bottom of the barrel for the Sex and the City series. Like, this is an insult among insults. This is a movie that is so terrible. It's so lazy. Like, you hate everybody in this movie. You especially hate Sarah Jessica Parker's character, who has everything she wants, and yet it's never enough. I don't know what was going on in the summer, but we had movies like this where... people had really good lives. They were married to people they loved, and then they just decided to throw it away because, I don't know. I don't know. I've got a hair up my ass, and I want to go ahead and do something different. We'll have one at the end of the summer featuring Julia Roberts, and yeah, that's bad too, but nowhere near as bad as this. I mean, that's bad, but this is the worst of the worst. This is unbelievable how bad this is. This is everything that is wrong with bringing an HBO show to the big screen, because this movie. The first movie felt like a mainstream attempt to try to do a movie based off of a show that was on HBO, which was uncharted territory. You could pretty much do whatever you want. This feels like they did that, except what they put on screen was just, let's just be incredibly insulting and racist to any minority out there that we want to. Like, this is horrible. This is absolutely god-awful. This is a terrible movie. I'm coming up on 11 minutes of telling you to avoid the fuck out of this movie. This film is a disaster. This is one of the worst movies of the year. This is one of the worst sequels ever made. This is one of the worst comedies ever made. This makes Ishtar look like a masterpiece. You made me praise Ishtar, for God's sakes. Ishtar! So I think you get the point here. You can avoid Sex and the City. Like, Sex and the City 2, avoid it like the plague. Just stick with the television series. Like, this, and Just Like That, which came out not too long ago, started off kind of rough, but I'll admit, I've caught a little bit of it. It's actually not that bad. It certainly does try to take the show back to its roots. Get it away from this garbage here, because, yeah, this is ungodly awful. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. This is one of the worst comedies I've ever seen. This is right up there with some of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. This is a terrible, terrible fucking movie. Avoid it like the plague. So let's try to get back on a much more positive note here with a film that's not quite as good, but certainly kicks the crap out of Sex and the City 2. It's Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. So when you watch the trailer, you can kind of get a glimpse of some of the problems with the movie that we'll delve into in a little bit here. But this is an attempt to try to create another Pirates of the Caribbean style franchise, and who better to do it with than the guy who produced the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, Jerry Bruckheimer. They even got the director who did Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Mike Newell, to direct it. Bose Yakin, who wrote Remember the Titans and wrote The Rookie as well. I mean, this is good cast all around here. You got Jake Gyllenhaal, Ben Kingsley. You got a rising actress in Gemma Arterton, Alfred Molina, based off of a series of really good video games. I mean, the possibility is definitely there. And for a while, the film was an overall decent film. It was actually the best video game adaptation we had But keep in mind, this was also around the time when video game adaptations were god-awful for the most part, and the best one we had up to that point was Lara Croft Tomb Raider and the first Mortal Kombat movie. Hell, even the first Street Fighter movie, I'll give them credit for, was certainly a lot better than some of the really bad video game adaptations. Those movies kicked the crap out of the Resident Evil movies, the Silent Hill movies. I mean, this film is, it gets close to being a really good movie, but it's not there, but it's not like it's a bad movie overall. But in the film, based off the video game series, you have Dastan, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, who's an orphan in the Persian Empire in the 6th century. After showing courage in the marketplace, he was adopted by the king. 15 years later, Dastan and his royal-blooded foster brothers, Garsif and Tuss, lead the Persian army in an attack on the sacred city of Alamut, under the assumption that the city's people are selling weapons to their enemies, as shown by Nizam, played by Ben Kingsley, who's the king's brother and advisor. After the king dies from a poisoned gown, Dastan is framed as the culprit and takes the Princess Tamina, played by Gemma Arterton, and a dagger that can take you back in time using sand on the run. Dastan has to clear his name and stop Nizam from taking over as king and try to kill his other brothers before the world as he knows it comes to an end. So, this isn't the long-awaited great video game adaptation we've been waiting for, but it's still certainly a lot better than some of the other video game adaptations we've gotten. Let's talk about the flaws. You kind of saw it in the trailer there. Jake Gyllenhaal and Gemma Arterton, as much as I like their chemistry, there is too much of that banter that feels like something straight out of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Like, they're trying so hard to create the next Pirates of the Caribbean with this, to the point where they have to take dialogue and ways of saying things from that series in general, and it just doesn't work overall in this case. Even though I did like them in this movie, I thought they were overall very good as the leads in here. I thought they were very solid overall. My biggest flaw with the film really is the fact that it's basically just a carbon copy of a movie we just looked at last time, Shrek Forever After and the Santa Claus 3, where let's take the main character back to a certain point from earlier in the film and never explain why they took him there at some point. It's just like, it just feels like it's rushed in there. It just makes no sense why they did that, and it just felt like they didn't have a good ending overall to really give this the lift that it needs to be a great movie overall. I thought the action sequences overall were really good. I like the giant dagger sequence overall, and sometimes the visual effects can look pretty cool when they're going inside something and it's completely collapsing on them. It can look really cool. Even the dagger time effects are impressive as well to look at. It also helps that you have a decent script by the game's creator Jordan Mechner, and also Boz Yakin, who also of course I mentioned did The Rookie and Remember the Titans. And for the most part, the actors, like I said, did a very good job in their roles. This is not a bad movie. It's actually kind of a decent film, but it isn't a film that I would say I would watch this on repeat multiple times. I mean, I saw it the first time around and had the DVD for the longest time, but I've very rarely watched it since. And I've never really had that urge to go back and watch it again. I just never really felt like I needed to see this again. But for the most part, it is what it is. It's a movie that is trying its best to try to create a magic based off the video game itself. It doesn't quite get there, but it's still one of the better video game adaptations, and it's really, like, we didn't really get a great video game adaptation up until we got to 2016, when we had the Angry Birds movie, and of course we had the sequel, and of course what happens now with the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, and also Detective Pikachu, and definitely we get the sense that we're finally getting video game movies to be more successful, because they're getting people that know what they're doing, and they're not just making movies just because they have the name brand and aren't going to get people who know the games themselves. This is one of the first attempts where they tried to do it. I don't think it worked all the way through, but I give it credit where credit is due. I think they did a pretty decent job of it, but it certainly could have been a whole lot better, and it certainly could have been more memorable to make you want to watch it multiple times. But really, one time you see it, it's enough. But you expect a whole lot more from it when it's all said and done, unfortunately. So, kind of a mixed opinion, but I'm leaning towards a slightly positive review on Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. So with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we'll take a look at the first 4 movies of June 2010, and let's just say the first one is one of those movies where it certainly has not aged very well, because you have Get Him to the Greek starring Russell Brand, and also P. Diddy is in it. Sean Puffy Combs is in this, and yeah, 15 years has definitely not aged this movie well, especially with what has happened to these two since then. But Jonah Hill's in it too, and it's directed by Nick Stoller, who did Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which this is a spinoff of. So, does it actually hold up, or has it gotten very awkward since then. I'm going to take a look at it tomorrow and definitely give you my thoughts on that. But hey, if you want more bad summer comedies from people who should know better, Katherine Heigl is back in a new one, this time with Ashton Kutcher, the spy comedy Killers. And then 20th Century Fox, haven't they insulted your intelligence with Garfield, Fat Albert, and Alvin and the Chipmunks? Well, guess what? They're going to take a character that you're so fond of, Marmaduke, and completely ruin it. Yeah. You won't expect, none of you out there want to see a Marmaduke movie, but Fox made one. We'll take a look at that one. Plus, we'll take a look at Adrian Brody and Sarah Polley in the thriller Splice. So, 4 films of definitely varying intrigues all across the board. We'll take a look at all 4 of them. Excuse me, coming up tomorrow on the show, so definitely be on the lookout for that. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, the subscribe button, the notification button, and also don't forget to hit our playlist as well as our previous episode that we did. And with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.